We are live.
Just a little bit, Sandy says. Pull out the heaters. All right. Yeah, we're having a lot of technical difficulties today. Things are not going smoothly. But let's do some roll call, and then maybe we can get started. And you don't need to tell me if you see my video freeze, because our video's freezing. All right, we've got Seamus and Kevin and Mike and Jill and Mr. Ed and John and Sandy and Steve. And I thought, oh no, Michael King was in here last week. That's where I saw him from. Let's wait. And Jill's, I saw Jill's here. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello, Podfeet.
We're going to have some fun show and tell today. Don't look at this. Don't look. It's going to come out in a minute. All right. I don't see any reason not to start. Hey, Mike, that's cool that you're jumping in on the development of XK Pass WD. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to mention your name. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm going to do it next week. That's right. But anyway, I'll be talking about it next week. I shamed Ed a little bit, saying, Ed, you were chopping at the bit to work on this. Where are you, dude? Why? There's a lot of issues open. Yeah, Helma, man, she runs a tight ship. She's strict. It took me 3 tries to get one of my PRs through. So, but then again, I don't know what I'm doing. So,
so for the audience, PR's pull request in
in GitHub language, that means so we've got the code, the real code, the XK Pass WD-JS. That's the real official code. You fork it, which means kind of making a copy for yourself, and you fiddle around with it, and then you do a pull request to the owners of the real code. So you're saying, hey, why don't you pull my stuff into yours, into the official code? So you're requesting that it be pulled in. And you have to get past Helma to get your PR.
And that's not an easy gate to pass.
Ooh, my longest PR at work took 3 weeks and 28 updates. Yikes. Ed says, give me a break. I'm on it. I only gave him crap 20 minutes ago.
and Kevin says we can rest assured we are not frozen.
Oh, okay. Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't know.
Give us a few minutes.
I'm starting to wonder whether it's the fact that we use channels on the Synology to record TV shows. So high-def TV shows are being recorded over our network at all times.
So one thing that would help if we do freeze, let us know if it's both of us or just one of us.
Because Steve thinks it's only me.
No, it's that would help isolate the problem if it's just one of us.
But I've seen you freeze and you've seen me freeze, so I don't think I think we know the answer to that, dear.
Well, input to you could also be inhibited. So what counts as a third party? Someone who's
go down to 720p during the show.
We are at 720.
No, he's talking about for the channels instead of 4K. Maybe you shouldn't record anything between 5 and 6 p.m. on Sundays.
Well, we could try that.
Yeah, make a note. Make one of those little paper notes. All right, we better get the show running. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to change this input because it's driving me crazy. I'm hearing myself with too much of a delay. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, February 18th, 2024, and this is show number 980. Before we get into the show, I want to announce that there will be no live show next week. Steve and I are going to go to our granddaughter's 4th birthday party in Texas, and we'll be gone over the weekend. We get so little time with our son Kyle and his family that we don't want to miss a precious second, so we're not going to do the show from there. It would also be an awful lot of gear to carry on a plane, and their house has hardwood floors and 3 tiny and very exuberant children, so the audio might be a little bit rugged as well. Now, just in case you thought our nearly 19-year streak would break, I expect to publish next week's show on Tuesday. That's the day after tomorrow for me right now, and that'll be before we leave. You're more than welcome to wait until your normal date and time to listen, or you can open your present early. It's up to you. We'll be back to doing the live show on Sunday, March 3rd. Not 34rd. I have trouble typing.
Yeah, I was wondering about March 34th.
I have a lot of, I always have trouble typing third. I don't know. It almost comes out, almost always is 3-4D.
Do you want me to fix it or you got it?
No, I got it.
All right.
Oh, you won't miss it because it won't be there. All right, thank you, save in chapter mark. Let me start doing the chapter mark here. All right. Copy link. This is really fun news. All right, here we go. Save. There we go. Last week. No, you're not doing it. What am I doing? Here we go. Last week, I told you about the tutorial I created for the subscription-based service Screencasts Online. That tutorial was all about how to add image descriptions when posting to social media. This is essential to make sure that everyone can enjoy the content you create, and it increases your reach to have more people be able to enjoy that content. I got to thinking about how important this subject is, so I asked Lee Garrett, the new owner of Screencasts Online, whether he might consider making this one tutorial free rather than behind their paywall. He watched my tutorial and he immediately agreed. I put a new link in the show notes directly to this tutorial on the Screencasts Online website, and I hope you'll go and watch it. I got to tell you, it's far easier to add image descriptions today than it ever was in the past, but there are some tricks to finding the right buttons in each service, and I try to teach that in my Screencasts Online tutorial. Now, in case you're wondering, Don McAllister is still on board with Screencasts Online, but he's handed the management and day-to-day operations off to Lee. Don will get back to doing more video tutorials now. I support this 100% because he is the master at tutorials. Additionally, Lee is a great guy, and he's been teaching at Screencasts Online for a long time, so it was a great fit and a seamless handoff. We get the best of all worlds. Yeah, so you guys should go watch this. I'm going to give it to you right now. All righty. Nope. There we go. Chapter mark. Chapter mark. Who has twins? I have a friend he's a lot of times kind of a pest, and he oh, right, you have twins. He had 2 daughters, and he and his wife were done having kids. Then they got a surprise pregnancy, and it was twin girls, and I laughed my head off. That guy was in a house with 5 women. All right, let's see.
Welcome,
Frank. Wheels, how are you? Nice to see you. That's not what I want to do. Not that. I want to do that. That's what I'm trying to open up. All right, here we go. Nobody's going to even listen to me now that we have a celebrity back in town. In this week's episode of Programming by Stealth, Bart continues to expand our knowledge on how to use JQ to query and manipulate JSON files. We learned how to use mathematical operators on data in our JSON files, along with fun functions like floor and absolute value. I even contributed some to the learning by showing examples of how ceil, that's C-E-I-L for ceiling, floor, and round produce curiously different results when operating on negative numbers, specifically negative decimal numbers. We move on to learning about both plain assignment and update assignment. That seems like a small deal, but the ability to set a parameter using the plain assignment equals versus the ability to update a value using pipe equals is actually huge and has lots of subtleties to it. I think one of my favorite parts was when Bart took us back to our JavaScript lessons and reminded us of how weird it is on one concept, but how JQ is much more in line with other modern programming languages. I felt like a seasoned programmer because I knew the history of what we'd learned. Finally, we learned how you can actually divide strings. I know, weird, right? All right, that's enough spoilers. You should check out Programming by Stealth, episode 161, and you can, of course, read Bart's fabulous tutorial show notes at pbs.bartificer.net, and you can subscribe to the podcast by looking for Programming by Stealth or Chit Chat Across the Pond. What's a VE value? I am unfamiliar with that term.
Negative?
But you said negative VE values. Negative equals minus VE? I have never seen that before.
I'm not sure what that means. Does it turn a value negative, or is that what you have to put in front of every negative number to indicate it's negative?
Or some completely other thing.
It's not clear how dash VE is used.
That I don't know. The root of all negative numbers are just imaginary. Instronism. Okay, now you got to tell us what instronism is.
This is just getting deeper.
Confusion all the way down. All right. Let's start off with another interview from CES. Slim design. Slim design. This one's pretty short. I think I'll let you listen to it. Let's start off with another interview from CES. We all love cameras, and of course AI is the center of absolutely everything at CES these days. I'm in the Slim Design booth, and they promise the world's first miniaturized, affordable AI body camera. That's all the buzzwords. Anyway, I'm here with Walter Koenigs, and he's going to tell us all about it.
Yes, thank you for having me. We are a design agency. We develop consumer electronics for a lot of companies. We've done a lot of cameras. For instance, MSI, a 360 camera, for Panasonic and other, and we also do body cameras. So when we were developing the body cameras for the Dutch police, we saw that there's a sort of a lot of other use cases and also professionals would like a small camera that's cheap, but they don't get one because it's too expensive. So like bus drivers and all that. So what we set out to do is make a very small camera that uses your phone as the hardware. So it stores on the phone, and it also uses the connection, the connectivity of the phone, so we can make the camera small and very cheap. And that's basically what we set out.
Is it over Bluetooth, or what is the connectivity?
We have our own connectivity. So, and that's something that we developed.
Proprietary network between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking at it right now. This is a video and audio podcast, so I'm going to explain a lot.
Sure.
So it looks to be about maybe not even 2 inches across and maybe a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch tall. And it's got a big red oval on it telling people I'm recording you right now.
Yes.
Correct? And so how does it work? How do you enable it? How does it work?
If you press it for a long press, it starts the alarm. And the alarm is then sent to a pre-selected emergency contact. So then it's somebody, or your father, or maybe somebody else. Or it can be the back end of a security company that has people watching. And here you see a demo of that. So it's basically for families, persons themselves, or for more professional that they also can use it.
So I'm wearing that I'm wearing it because I'm going to walk down a dark alley at CES, and some dodgy person starts coming towards me. I press and hold for the alarm, but I'm also recording at the same time.
Yes. So it's then sent to the clouds. So whenever somebody then grabs it of you, it's still the footage and it's still in the clouds, and you can use it later for in court or anything. So that's
okay. So what is the if it's going to the cloud, then it's going from there, from the phone cam to the phone up to the cloud.
Yes.
And then are there other uses for that data for viewing it? I mean, are you going to do a kid's birthday party with this?
Sure. You can also just record things and have it as a GoPro kind of thing. But also we see a lot of use cases where people that are working in remote areas and they don't have all the expertise, they can then just press the button. The call goes to a backend where there's an expert that can help them then do things that they don't normally do. So you see now then tasks can be done by less qualified personnel that can then do things that otherwise they wouldn't.
So we can become remote control devices to people smarter than us.
Yeah. Or even when there's an ambulance, the doctor can already look into the patients, what has to be done, what can they advise the ambulance personnel, and they also can prepare it in the hospital how to
take care of them in some way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how much is phone cam going to cost?
It's $69.
Oh, you're serious about affordable.
Yes, yes. So yeah, basically it's yeah, that's what we set out to do, is to make it as cheap as possible to be able to have all the connectivity that you can.
That's really, really interesting. So if people wanted to look up PhoneCam, where would they go?
Phonecam.io.
Oh, very good. Oh, wait, I forgot one question. That was my question earlier. What's AI about it?
We have now low light enhancements, but we are already now partnering up with a lot of companies that would like to use our phone cam. Because it uses the CPU of the phone, it can do much more than a lot of other cameras can. Because it's much more advanced. The CPU in the phone is much more advanced than normal cameras.
So you're opening up an API where they can get access to the data?
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. So.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, I'm glad we're done doing the Spanish Inquisition on Mike there.
Yes. Hey, I got Ed's thing, the thing that Ed
good.
recently made. I don't know how I'm going to demonstrate this, but let me give it a try.
Well, make it all you. Oh no, I won't be able to hear.
Yeah, but maybe I'll do
That's okay.
this.
Okay.
All right, so this is how this sits on a desk.
Oh, I
Or a
would have just
table.
showed him the wood first.
And it's basically, I'm worried I'm going to drop this thing.
Oh, because you don't have a table to set it on.
Right, so it's cantilevered, so it's meant to be cantilevered
Higher?
with
Higher.
the wine hanging out. And,
The wine bottle?
Yeah, the wine bottle. And it's an S, by the way, with a flat bottom. Looks like
Take
maybe
the bottle out. Just show them what the thing looks like. It'll be easier to show the angle on it, though.
Yeah, let me show you. So that's the front view, and then the side view is
Yeah, self-balancing, Mike.
Yeah, self-balancing, right? Assuming you get the wine bottle in there correctly. You can't put it in this way. That doesn't work. You gotta go this way.
Oh, shoot. That made it an HEIC file.
Anyway, thank you, Ed. That was not very nice of you.
What if I do this? I took some pictures for Ed this afternoon, and I can... That one was an HEIC. That was annoying. Let's see. There we go. Here it is.
Yes, we do.
There you get to see it.
That's perfect. And that's the perfect wine glass for it. The
Lindsay
stemless
bought
wine
me
glass.
those. The most terrifying wine glasses. Nothing goes wrong, but I'm just constantly terrified that I'm gonna break it. So.
Peanut butter whiskey.
Oh, it works with peanut butter whiskey. Yeah, he's bought us peanut butter whiskey too. All right. Yes, it was very cool. I think we showed you before. Ed also made us Star Trek coasters. They're so cool. They're each of the emblems of the different professions within Star Trek. So like Star Trek medical or engineering or whatever. They're really cool.
Command.
Get a lot of compliments.
Science. Yes, they are. Made with love. And a lot of labor.
You're putting words into his mouth.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Here we go. All right. I'm going to talk about the Ricoh OLED displays that we showed you in the video from CES. First of all, this is the case for it. The entire thing. Let me open it up here. This is the thickness. Look at that thing.
It looks like less than a quarter inch.
Oh, it is bananas. I mean, so to give you an idea, this is the previous one that I used, and this is this is the KYY.
That's in a case, right?
Well, but you have to have the case. You can't use it without the case, because the case is the stand.
Oh.
And you'll hear me explain why that's important. But even if you were to take it out of there, but then it becomes useless. It sits flat on the table. You can't do anything with it. This is, I can show you these. Try doing this. Try not to draw. They're slippery. Can you tell the difference?
Oh, yeah.
Between,
It's like 3 times the thickness.
isn't that nuts? And you'll hear me talk about this quite a bit. The most important part of this is it's got a freaking kickstand, so I don't need the case on it to stand it up. That will come up in discussion quite a bit. Oh, it's like the MacBook Air intro because I pulled it out of an envelope. Yeah, I definitely could do that. All right, let's hear about it. Here we go. I started using portable USB-C displays when on travel about 4 years ago, starting with the tiny 12-inch Yo-Yo 2K display. When that one died, I upgraded in 2021 to the CocoPar 15.6-inch 1080p display. I missed the higher resolution of the smaller display, but the CocoPar was good enough that I was able to do the live show on the road with it. I liked the built-in kickstand, which gave me enough space on my work surface to fit all of my gear. For $180, the CocoPar is still a very good option. I showed my daughter Lindsay the CocoPar, and I let her use it at her house one time, and she loved it. Since I'm such a good mom, I really had no choice but to give it to her to support her remote work. She also runs audits at her company, and having a second display in the conference room is life-changing. She tells me all the time she should get a commission from CocoPar because so many clients have bought their own after seeing hers. Well, that was great because it gave me the excuse I needed to upgrade again. In 2023, I bought the KYY 4K 15.6-inch USB-C display for $239. It's now down to $219. I was delighted to have that super sharp 4K goodness, allowing me to get a lot more information on my display. I need every single pixel when I'm on the road doing the show. I need to turn me down a little bit. Still too loud. All right. Do you know how hard it was to take a photo of those these together? Oh, no, that's not the hard one. The next one was the, as we get into it, it's even harder. All right. Let's see. While the KYY's display is gorgeous, I'm constantly frustrated with its lack of a kickstand. I know that sounds like a tiny complaint, but it's a very big deal. Instead of a kickstand, the KYY has a floopy folio case that folds into a stand. It's held on by magnets, much like the folio made by Apple for iPad, except the magnets aren't strong enough so it falls off easily, and the little detents to hold it at different angles are not deep enough, so it sort of slides out and flattens itself if you bump it. If I can get it balanced just right, the part of the case that sits flat on the table sticks out so far in front that it gets in my way. I can't get the display close enough to my MacBook to be as useful as it could be. In my review of the KYY, I told you that I bought a little plastic tablet holder that Jill recommended in order to hold it up. But it doesn't really work very well because the display is so wide. It's really made more for like maybe a 10-inch tablet. This is a 15.6-inch diagonal display and it's like 16 by 9, so it's really wide. When I have it on that little stand, it's highly likely to get knocked over while I'm moving things around. I have searched everywhere for better stands and I haven't found any. Oh, okay, there's one more thing that makes the KYY a little harder to use. It's that the cables stick straight out of the right-hand side, and I prefer my display to be to the left of my MacBook. That means in addition to being limited by the floopy case, I'm also limited by how much those cables stick out. And remember, the cables are going to stick out on the left in a MacBook Air, so I have to keep the laptop really far away from the display, which is not ideal. But I got to tell you, that 4K looks great right up until it falls over. Okay, now you're up to speed with where we last left our hero a year ago. Let's talk about the latest display in my life. At CES this year, you probably heard that I interviewed Scott Francis from Ricoh about 2 of their portable displays. They were kind enough to send me one of them for a review. The 2 displays Ricoh showed off were the Model 150, which is a wired USB-C display, and the 150BW, which can be used wirelessly or via USB-C. Ricoh sent me the 150BW and I was really excited to test it out. The Ricoh displays are OLED, but they aren't 4K, they're only 1080p. I had not appreciated why people are so excited about OLED displays until I got the Ricoh 150BW in my hot little hands. It is bright, the colors are vivid, it is stunning to look at. Every person I've shown the 150BW to says, wow! I mean, it's really that good looking. I also didn't realize that OLED displays are thinner and lighter than traditional LCD panels. With a built-in kickstand, the 150BW weighs in just under 1.6 pounds. The CocoPar, with its required floopy case, weighs 2.4 pounds, so it's 50% heavier. The wired Ricoh 150 is even lighter at only 1.23 pounds. I mean, that's crazy pants. That's nothing to lift. It wasn't until I tried to take a photograph of the Ricoh display for the show notes that I realized this is a very glossy screen, while the KYY is a matte screen. I like a glossy screen. I think that makes everything look more vivid, but we all know that George from Tulsa does not, so I thought I'd mention it. The Ricoh displays are a fair bit more expensive than all of the displays I've mentioned earlier in this article. The 150BW wireless display retails for $675, and the wired 150 will run you $530 on Amazon. If you buy direct from the Ricoh website, you'll pay even more. Now, I was super excited to see what it was like to use the Ricoh 150BW in its wireless mode. Wouldn't it be glorious if we didn't have to contend with the wire sticking out of the side of our laptops and displays at all? That would be nirvana. Well, there was no manual in the box, so I started fiddling around with the controls on the back right, and I figured out how to get the Ricoh 150BW into a Wi-Fi mode. I looked in system settings on my Mac, and I tried to connect to the Wi-Fi network that the 150BW had created. It asked me for a password. Well, I figured it had to be something simple, so I did a bit of the Googles, as one does, and I found out that the password is admin123. I also found out where to change that. After I entered the password, nothing happened. The display didn't magically show up as a screen for my Mac. It was time for desperate measures. I broke down and started searching for the manual for the Ricoh displays. They don't make it easy to find, but I finally found both the display manual and the wireless manual. Oddly, the wireless manual wasn't as helpful because it had more to do with other types of wireless devices sold by Ricoh, like their line of scanners. But in the regular manual, I found the very bad news about how the wireless functionality works on the Ricoh 150BW. To use the 150BW wirelessly with a Mac, an iOS device, or a Windows PC, you have to download driver software called Ricoh Monitor Mirroring. Notice that word, mirroring. Yep. You can't extend your desktop wirelessly. You can only mirror your display. Now, this doesn't solve any problem I have, but maybe it would for you. If you, say, give demos to people in rooms without projectors, I can see being able to pass around a wireless and gorgeous display to them so they can see what you're doing, especially since it's so light. You can just see passing this thing around like passing around a jar of candy. Now, here's a problem. Most corporate IT departments have lockdown devices these days, so you can't just install any old driver you want. You might not even be allowed to use the Ricoh 150BW in wireless mirroring mode as a result. Now, I did test it in wireless mirrored mode on my Mac to make sure I understood how it worked, and I have to say the screen looked significantly worse in wireless mode than it did wired via USB-C. The text was smeary, and the cursor lagged to a point that I wouldn't even consider using it for that. I have to say, I can't really recommend the Ricoh 150BW, but don't turn the page yet. Let's stop right there. I don't want this to be a downer review, so I want to set aside the wireless functionality and talk about the 150BW as though it was the 150 wired version. Even though the one I have is a little bit heavier, everything else is the same about these. If you're a Windows user, the Ricoh display is a touchscreen with 10 independent touch points. They sell an active electrostatic stylus, that's hard to say, electrostatic stylus, with 4,096 levels of pressure sensitivity and 2 function buttons. I really wish I could test the touchscreen in the stylus, but since macOS isn't a touch operating system, I don't get to have any fun with it. And the touch doesn't work with the iPad. The 150 series displays have a power switch on the right-hand side, which means it doesn't automatically come on when you connect it to your device. I can see scenarios where I'd want to leave it connected, but also power it down. Speaking of power, you definitely want to take advantage of power pass-through with the Ricoh displays. They have 2 USB-C ports on the back, and without adding power to the second one, the display drained the battery on my devices at an alarming rate. At one point, I was doing a test with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and the battery went from 22% to 7% on my iPad Pro in less than 10 minutes. The 150BW has an internal battery since it can work wirelessly, so I think it's charging itself from my device. I'm pretty sure the Model 150 would not drain your battery nearly as much because I imagine it doesn't have a built-in battery. In fact, now that I think about it, maybe that's why it's so much lighter. Now, speaking of cabling, I love the way they designed the cable management on the 150 series. Remember how with the KYY, the cables came out of the right side of the display, limiting how close I could put the display to my laptop? Not so with the Ricoh displays. The display is of two thicknesses. The top half is only 0.19 inches thick, which is bananas thin. The bottom half is a little thicker as it contains the electronics. It also has a cutout for the two USB-C ports. This means that when the power and data cables are connected, they lay flat on the back of the device. They also included 4 little clips that you double back tape to the back, which allows you to hold the entire USB-C cable on the thinner part for storage. Not having to find a place to store the cable is genius. The thicker part also holds the built-in kickstand, which is possibly my favorite part of the device. I mean, having a kickstand is a glorious thing. It's even got little rubber feet, so it feels really good when it's sitting. You can set the kickstand anywhere from nearly vertical at 75 degrees down to a very shallow 16-degree angle, which would be great for doing artsy things with that nice stylus. It's a very wide kickstand, just short of the full width of the display, so it's super stable, unlike that floopy case on the KYY. You can even use the Ricoh display in portrait because of the great kickstand, which is super useful when reading long-form documents. In fact, I was doing some programming the other day, and I had Bart's show notes up on the Ricoh, and I put it vertical so that I could see this big section of the instructions of his tutorial. So I was able to read along and do my coding over on my main display. It was actually taller in pixels than my display, my XDR display, which I found really surprising because this is a 32-inch diagonal display, but I was able to get more on screen vertically on the Ricoh than I was able to do on my big display. Now, the Ricoh display has 2 stereo speakers, but they're pretty tinny. I don't think you're going to be listening to them for any length of time. In my iPad Pro test, the audio automatically switched to the display's speakers, but with Control Center, I was able to change the speakers back to the iPad. I've not used an external display on an iPad very often, so maybe I'm acting like I made fire here when I tell you how cool it is to use an iPad with the Ricoh display. I opened Downcast on iPad and I played the latest video podcast of the Daily Tech News Show. It automatically opened the video on that glorious screen with Tom full screen on that while leaving the controls of the app on the iPad. When using an external display with iOS, you choose where apps open using Stage Manager. You control it using the 3 dots at the top of the screen in any app. You get to choose from full screen, split view, slide over, or move to display. It's also interesting to see display arrangement controls appear inside system settings for iOS. I don't do a lot of productivity work on my iPad other than pure writing for the show, so I don't have a big need to connect an external display, but it works really well, and again, the Ricoh display looks fantastic. My primary usage for an external display is when I go to Lindsay's house and I want to do the live show from there. On our latest trip, I carried the Ricoh display instead of the KYY, and it was awesome. It comes in a very thin zipper case to protect the surface of the display, but I slid that into a thick padded case too because it does feel fragile because it's so stinking thin. I used the Ricoh display on my grandson Forbes' desk, along with a mic on a tripod and a light. Not a tripod, a tripod, and a light and a Thunderbolt hub and wires running all over the place. While it's still hard to work with all that mess, the display was no longer a contributor to my stress. The cables were out of my way, and the kickstand was sturdy and didn't get in my way at all. A perfect experience. If I had to choose again, I would definitely choose the Ricoh 150 OLED 1080p display to take on the road over the KYY 4K display with its awful case. The weight being so much lower, the thickness, the cable management, the brightness, the vivid colors, and the kickstand all make this display an excellent choice. But my eye wanders. Another one has my eye because Dave Hamilton of the Mac Geek Gag and I... Actually, no, let me start that over. But my eye wanders. Okay. Have I missed anything important? Oh, it's going to cost you money? Well, let's find out. Dave Hamilton of the Mac Geek Gab and I have been trading ideas on displays for a while now, and after he bought the KYY on my recommendation, he tried out a display from ViewSonic that won over his heart, the VX 1655 4K OLED. It might be the best of both worlds. It's OLED and 4K. Like the Ricoh, it has a kickstand, which is table stakes for me now. The cables come out of the side of the kickstand close to the middle of the display, so I suspect that's a game changer from the KYY. It's got the kickstand, it's 4K, it's OLED, it's got good cable management. What's not to like? I looked at the kickstand and I don't think you could do it vertically, so that might be one thing you can't do. At $500, the ViewSonic VX1655 4K OLED is right in line with the price of the Ricoh Wired 150. But it's 4K instead of 1080p. It weighs 1.8 pounds, where the Wired 150 from Ricoh only weighs 1.2 pounds. So I guess ask yourself, would you carry 10 ounces more to get 4K? Like I said, I'm tempted. Well, the bottom line here is that there's a lot of great competition in the category of USB-C portable displays, and they have options for every budget. My advice would be to make it a drop-dead requirement that whatever display you buy comes with its own built-in kickstand. If you're budget conscious, I would look for the 1080p LCD displays that have a kickstand. If your eyes are really good and you can appreciate crisp text, or you really need to pack in as much on screen as possible, If your eyes are really good so you can appreciate crisp text, or you really need to pack in as much on screen as possible, move up to a 4K display with a kickstand. If you're not picky about crisp text, but you appreciate vibrant colors, then move to an OLED display with a kickstand, like the glorious Ricoh 150. But if you have to have it all and your financial advisor allows it, get a 4K OLED display with a kickstand. But whatever you do, get one with a kickstand.
You sure seem to like those kickstands.
I love this kickstand. It's so nice. I wish I could show you how floopy this case is. It's just the worst.
Marty joined us.
Marty, well, you're pretty late to class tonight.
Yes, he is. Oh, he was recording a podcast. I think he gets a pass for that.
No.
No,
That's that's just poor scheduling. Why would you give him a pass? No, he helped me out today, so that's pretty close to the end of the recordings I'm going to do this week. Oh, Marty, no live show next week. Anybody else come in late that might not have heard that?
I don't think so.
Okay. I will remind people at the end, but it'll be after the part where people don't
Frank
listen.
did, yeah.
Oh, Frank came in. Frank, no live show next week. Is he still here?
I think he is. I think he was in the sidebar. Let's see here.
Oh, alrighty here.
Oh, maybe he isn't.
All right, I'm going to start. On occasion, I get to review products sent to me by the manufacturers, like in the Ricoh display review you just heard. But the vast majority of what I review comes out of Podfeed podcast funding. My goal is not to make a huge profit or, you'd hear creepy ads in the show, but rather I just want to fund the products I want to use to produce the show or just to review for you. If you can afford to do it and you find value in the reviews you hear and the other content we do here, stop what you're doing right now and run over to podfeed.com/Patreon to help out the shows. By the way, next Allison sings, did you know Steve yells at me if I go longer than like 18 seconds on an ad on my panhandling part?
Yeah, I start frowning at 15.
15 seconds? 15 seconds in an hour show, right? Oh, chapter mark.
Yes.
Did I
catch, Kevin.
Oh, no, Kevin did it. Good job, Kevin. Come on. Woo. Mention how happy I am that this works now. So happy.
But it looks like you're having to paste in the last link. Is that always been?
Yeah, but what's different is that I don't have to click back and forth. I can copy the link here. And sorry, I don't know, you can't see it. I copy the link from Mars Edit, but it stays in focus over here in Hindenburg, so I can just hit paste.
Okay,
Whoops.
so it is double link.
Yeah, no, I messed it up. Thanks, Steve. There we go. So the problem before was I would have to click to get into the field, click again to activate it.
So Marty says we need an Apple Vision Pro. Are you going to talk about that, or do you want to?
I was going to do it this week, but this week got too full of content. It's going to be on next week's show. But spoiler, I'm going to talk about how to not have FOMO for the Apple Vision Pro. And the trick is try somebody else's that is not fit for you.
Set
and you
up
don't
for
run through
someone
any of the
else.
setup stuff. Try it that way. It was horrible. We all have Vision Pros. So anyway, that's going to be my shtick. Come to house sit. No, there's no Vision Pro here. Let's see.
We were
Oh,
using
yeah.
someone else's.
Yeah, we do not have one.
Under
your
your seats.
seats.
And you
Oh,
get one. And you get a
Frank
Vision
gets
Pro.
one. And all right, let's see. So option T. Option T. Get rid of me. No. Wait a minute. Which one's me? This must be me. Yeah. That's just not what it usually looks like. That's weird. Is that the
Wait a
one?
minute.
Yeah. Did I what?
Did you not play the Plink?
I'm not just going. Look, jeez, give me a minute. Okay, shh.
Blink.
You just said shh over the top of it. I'm
One
not.
more time.
I'm not. No.
One more time.
Why do you do that? It's like 100% of the time I play the Plink for you. You talk over it. Now be quiet.
Blink. Blink.
Got it.
Blink.
All right.
Blink.
Now you're overdoing it.
Blink.
Well, it's that time. Stop me. All right. Now, how do I line this up? Try right there, maybe. Have fun today.
Well, I think so. When I was writing the notes, I was like, there's a really nice mix here of some news, a little bit of follow-up, 2 little deep dives. They're sort of perfectly medium, not too deep. You know, I don't know. It felt nice as I was writing the notes. And the sun was shining, which may have helped. But either way, I thought they were good notes. So it is the usual mix of good news and bad news.
This is weird. I don't get to talk very much. Look at this. When do I don't actually. I thought he was
Wow.
talking straight. Let's see. I'm trying to line up the tracks, and it's hard when there's no
That's
talking.
receiving malware.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very cool. The fight.
I gotta find where.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
there's
looks
a
like
better
you're just
spot.
interjecting occasionally.
I was trying. We had big lag talking to each other today.
muscles, so I thought that was a clever
Like,
touch.
okay, you can do that, but you can't walk in here.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like there are consequences to this kind of carry on. I like it.
Okay. I think that's okay. Let's see.
Ain't gonna
See, I'm
happen. At least not
Yeah,
now.
I was kind of really hoping for that one, you know?
Yeah. Well, RCS is coming, so that's something.
Yeah, it'll still be crappy. But do you by chance remember off the top of your head about whether they ruled that WhatsApp is a gatekeeper?
I do not remember.
Okay, that sounds lined up.
Ed found Plink at the grocery store. That's great.
That's awesome.
I gotta put that on.
What you absolutely positively should do is stay patched so you stay secure.
Alrighty. Cut that off. And then outro. NosillaCast outro. Nope, that's not it. Well, that's going to go down here eventually. Where's. Oh, wrong show. I was going, where's my canned outro? I forgot I do it from scratch every week on this one. Yeah, all right. Well, that's going to wind us up this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like? If you have a question or suggestion, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You can follow me on Mastodon. Where? podfeet.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, you can go to podfeet.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast away. NosillaCast away? I think there's more than one of
Yeah,
us.
you just have one.
Where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast away. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCastaways. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, you will have to wait till March 3rd to head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time to join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. I got to make sure I didn't double something there. You can go to podfeed.com/YouTube if you want to join the conversation. Oh, no, I didn't do it. March, I know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Well, y'all can just still come here to the chat room.
You're always welcome.
That did happen one time. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. How was that, Steve?
Pretty good. I think that's timed well.
All right. Well, that episode of Security Bits is an hour and 2 minutes long.
So your total show is?
Let's see. How do I get to it? There. That way? No. Come on. Just pick a track. There we go. Hour and 17 minutes.
No,
Almost
that's
hour and 18.
Not your longest, but up there.
What's the longest?
I think it's been an hour and a half once.
Why is abbreviation such a long word? I've always wondered about oversight and oversee. To oversee something is to make sure you pay attention to it, but an oversight means you missed it. But to have oversight on something means you are paying attention to it, or at least you're supposed to.
That's a puzzler.
I have 6 chapter marks.
Oh.
How many
shoot,
do you
I
have,
haven't been
dear?
paying attention. Pay attention.
Kevin asked you to. Oh, there.
6.
Steve, the amazing podcast producer. 6. We have 6. We are a go. We are a go for export. Well, everybody, I will miss you next
That's a good
week.
one, Mike. Parking a
Parking
driveway,
and driving a parkway. Jumbo shrimp. Oh, what are you guys going to do with your all your time off next Sunday? Podcast.
Excellent. That's a good use of your time.
Do you all use the different profiles in Safari? Because I've started using them. I created one I call Meta, and I keep all my creepy social media feeds on that one. So I've got Facebook, 2 tabs for Facebook, one for the Nosilla Castaways, and I use one for Instagram, one for Threads, one for Blue Sky.
Well, what about Twitter, Allison? Or X?
Yeah. I'm thinking about going back and just using it for spam. Yeah. Because a lot of times there's companies I'm trying to get their attention to, and they aren't in what do you call
Mastodon.
Mastodon.
Or Blue Sky.
Yeah. But I was excited. I just learned 2 keystrokes. Let's see. Shift Option Command 1 opens my my other persona.
That flies right off the fingers.
Yeah, and Command Shift. So Command L gets you right into the URL bar. Command Shift L opens the sidebar. Because what I want to do is I want to open all of those. So I'm finally using tab groups, and so I have to open my separate persona. Then I have to open the sidebar. Then I have to open the tab group. If I can figure out how to automate opening the tab group, then maybe I could do even more. I don't see a way to do that. Anywho, that's what I've been playing with lately. All right. Well, we should probably get going.
Yeah, I think it's time.
I should have, Mike, but it's too close to showtime.
Tesla.
All right, everybody. Is Tessa saying goodbye?
No, she's snoring. I'm afraid she slept through your show.
Did I freeze during the show?
No, it was pretty good. At least I didn't notice it. Now,
Okay, that's funny. That's funny right there. All right, people are saying goodbye. I think we should let the class go.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Bye, Rose. No freezing. Good to know. Maybe the wires just had to get heated up.
And we are going